The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says every day about 28 people die in the U.S. in drunk driving crashes. That's one person every 52 minutes. In 2019, 10,142 people, they say, lost their lives. To talk about that and so much more, we're honored to welcome Candace Lightner to the show today. She's founded Mothers Against Drunk Driving after her 13-year-old daughter was killed by a repeat offender drunk driver and later went on to found We Save Lives. Candace, thank you. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, Candace, I wanted to start at the beginning. After your daughter, Carrie, was killed in that drunk driving crash, how did you turn the grief of a mother into action? How did you make that transition?
I think instead of turning grief into action, it was more turning rage and anger into action. Because when I learned that the man who killed my daughter probably wouldn't go to prison or jail, because in those days, that's the way the system worked. I just became so angry, I felt compelled to do something. Also, it was the second time my daughter had been hit by a drunk driver. She and her twin sister were hit in a crash several years before that. And in that crash, my mother was injured and her sister was injured. They were just babies then. And so I just decided, it's time to put a stop to this nonsense. And, we need to basically put a face to the numbers. And my daughter became that face in the beginning.
So you founded Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and also We Saved Lives. And I wanted to show this video. It's called Reflections from Inside. Millions of people around the world have seen this video. We're going to play a clip here. Let's take a listen.
I made the choice to drink. I made the choice to get in the car. You don't have to make that choice. So take a good look in the mirror, man. Should you be driving tonight?
So Candace, tell us what's going on in this video, how you all came up with the concept, why millions of people have watched it.
Actually, hundreds of millions of people around the world, as I mentioned before. It's been translated into so many different languages. I didn't even know half these countries existed. I was approached by a marketing company at the time called Young and Rubicon, which has since changed their name because they've merged with another company, VMLYR, I think, Y&R. And they had approached us on doing some other videos for us, which they did, and other PSAs. And they asked us how I would feel about actually, instead of doing a victim, which is normally what you do in these PSAs, but using someone who actually had been convicted drunk driver. And I really had some reservations in the beginning. I was afraid that the victims and survivors would be angry with me for doing this because I've long been the voice of the victim. And so I finally thought, well, maybe this will reach more people. And so I agreed to do it. It took us a year to find the right young man and to find the prison that would cooperate and the district attorney and make sure we weren't alienating the survivors. And we put this together in a bar in Los Angeles. And the response was absolutely amazing. I mean, when we started posting this on social media, I started clipping or taking pictures of as many responses as I could, but the responses went into the thousands and I couldn't keep up. But people would send this video to their friends and say, "See, Dave, I told you shouldn't drink and drive." And Dave would respond and go, "Wow, you're so right. I'm not going to anymore." The impact was unbelievable. Law enforcement started using it when they would go out and talk. Victim impact panels would use it. Schools were using it. Driver's ed teachers were using it. And then it went global. I mean, Japan is still airing this video. Some stations were airing it 24 hours a day. It actually won the highest award. It was the first American PSA to win the highest award in Europe several years ago. It was... I think it's people looking at someone who actually killed someone and is talking about it and the regret that he has. And he's talking about it from the prison where he was at and thinking, wow, that could be me.
That's amazing.
I think that's the first time, yeah. We used to say, when people, like when my daughter was hit, my neighbor came over when he learned it was a drunk driver, and he said, "Oh my God, that could have been me that killed your daughter." Well, we wanted to change that attitude. So instead of thinking that could have been me, you would look at the victim and think, that could have been me. That could have been my son. That could have been my child. Well, we kind of did a reversal of 40 years ago and said, let's try a different tact here. And I think people looked at it and went, wow, that could be me. I could be in prison.
Candace, we have a few seconds left, but I wanted to ask you, as people are getting ready for spring break and prom, your message to people who may be thinking about getting behind the wheel, whether they're distracted or have had something to drink.
So, get a designated driver, get a chauffeur-driven limousine, rent a taxi, whatever. And the best thing you can do if you're going to get behind the wheel is to drive sober and focused. And remember, you may have passengers. You're risking their lives too. And passengers, remember to speak up. If you see somebody getting ready to do something dangerous or reckless, speak up. Don't go along with them. Speak up. Get out of the car if you have to. Don't let them drive.
Candace Lightner with We Save Lives, we thank you for your time.
Thank you.